All right. Good morning, Myana. How are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I am doing fantastic. So I've got your resume here in front of me. You have a fantastic background working in healthcare. I'm very excited to chat with you today. Most recently, I see that you're working as a patient intake coordinator
Yes,
at United Biosource. What type of practice was that?
So United Biosource, we dealt with cancer patients as well as HIV patients. We did have certain patients that did have Botox as well for migraines, things like that. But it was mostly a specialty pharmacy. So seeing as though we would ship the medication across the country, overnight it, things such as that. So my specific department, what we would do is place in the orders for the prescriptions. We would receive it from the physician office.
Okay.
Basically, we would go ahead and confirm that the insurance and everything was correct, make sure that they haven't started or stopped taking any medications, just making sure that everything is still as it was when they took the medication last month. We also input new patients, welcome new patients, start them with the process, basically welcome them to the family. We would my specific department again, we would spend most of the time on the phone with the specific physicians or the nurse practitioners rather than the patients.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Did you have any patient interaction in that role?
Yes. Now we would have some. Again, we would have to contact certain patients to make sure that they are not in the hospital or hospice. To make sure they're not having any adverse effects.
Okay.
Again, with this specific position, it wasn't very frequent that we did have to speak to the patients directly. For my patient care coordinator positions that I've had in the past, those were more direct with the patients.
All right. Beautiful. All right. And then prior to that, it looks like you were working as a patient intake coordinator for a little over a year at Magellan RX. Tell me about that position.
Yes, ma'am. So with this position, again, we didn't speak to many patients, but we were hands-on with every patient account. It is a fairly small company, so we would have about roughly, for my department, it was about four intake coordinators, and we would have I want to say around 200 patients. So it became more of a personal interaction. So if something seemed off about the patient's account or information, we would be able to call them directly rather than having to speak to the doctor's office instead.
All right. Fantastic. Now, what medical software do you have experience working with?
So for the companies, for I want to say three of the companies, they use CPR Plus, and CPR Plus. They have two versions. One is a newer system, and the older one is more like a how do I describe it? Like a coding kind of system.
Okay.
And so again, it's two different systems, but it's under the same thing with the same company.
Okay.
So CPR Plus is the main system we used.
All right. Fantastic. Are you also comfortable working on the Microsoft Office suite?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. Which programs in the suite have you been familiarized with?
So for Microsoft, we had I do apologize, I cannot name them off the top of my head, because for this specific company, for the company that I am in now, we do CPR Plus more so than anything else.
No,
Um,
absolutely. But what Microsoft Office suite programs do you have experience working with, even if it's outside of work?
Oh, okay. So I have Microsoft Word and things such as that. I did take a couple of computer classes. Again, I can't name them off of the top of my head.
Okay.
I think I'm just a little flustered right
It's
now.
okay. It's okay. Hey, it's normal to be a little nervous in an interview. That's completely okay. So don't worry. And honestly, they use the programs a little bit more for organization purposes, like in Word and Excel.
Yes.
You're not the office accountant, so we don't expect you to know heavy accounting functions or anything like that in those programs. So don't worry. The exposure to the medical software is what we are looking for. Even
Yes.
if it's a different one, because all of which, obviously different platforms, but they still have some similarities, with the scheduling and, patient information, things like that. And they're going to fully train you on the software that's specific to their office. Now, what is your interest in working in a plastic surgery office?
So this is actually something again, if I love anything to do with health. I love patients. I love interacting hands-on. So specifically working at a plastic surgery office, first of all, you're going to be around people who are going to either transform, and they're going to be so happy. And you just want to make sure every experience that they have inside of this office is going to be sincere, that you're catering to every one of the needs and being hands-on. So I feel as though working at a plastic surgery office, it would definitely allow me to use some of the things I have learned throughout the years, working with patients and things such as that. And again, if if I was more of a blood person, I would work in like a hospital or things such as that, but this is like the next best thing for me.
Beautiful. All right. Fantastic. What are your long-term career goals?
To grow within a company that can push me and challenge me, and also allow me to grow with them, through the company's years, and allow me to go ahead and be a part of growth. I feel as though I do add, teamwork. I have my own individual ideas and such as that. So I'm a team player. And again, I just feel as though being in this position, this will allow me to just be able to use everything that I've learned.
All right. Fantastic. And if you weren't sitting here today and I was sitting with a past supervisor or colleague of yours, how do you think they would describe your work ethic?
I feel as though they would describe me as very quirky. I'm giggly. As you can see, I have not stopped laughing or smiling as this way, but I'm very focused and very dedicated. And again, teamwork is number one for me. That is something you have to, not even just with your coworkers, but as well with the patients. You have to make sure you communicate in all aspects. That's the number one thing. So I feel as though they would point out the fact that I communicate and I'm very dedicated to anything I set my mind to or any task that I'm assigned to.
Fantastic. And if offered the opportunity, how soon would you be available to start? All right.
I will be able to start as soon as possible on Monday. I would just ask for at least a 3-day notice, so I'll be able to have everything situated and placed in order.
All right. Beautiful. Well, Myana, I really appreciate you taking some time and chatting with me this morning. I'm going to stop the recording and chat with you a little bit more off film.
Okay.